Is good judgment if not the ability to think clearly and strategically and then make good decisions? Now, when I think about it in my own life, it's so damn true. I spent my 20s working very hard to build my career, only to lose it all due to a series of bad judgments. By age 30, I was back in my childhood home trying to start over. Like me, the problem with many of us is that we are not taught how to make strategic decisions. We often make emotional decisions and end up justifying them with logic. Unfortunately, that does not get you far in life. At least it didn't for me. But here is what did to change that. I started using mental models for thinking more strategically. Now, mental models are these pre-designed frameworks that you can use to analyze any situation and make better decisions. It's a powerful system for accomplishing goals in the most efficient way possible. They are the basic principles of strategic thinking. You might be thinking, mental models? Sounds complicated. But trust me, they aren't. In fact, you are probably already using some of them and not even realizing it. In this video, we will look at mental models that will help you unlock your strategic genius. If you are looking to gain that strategic edge in your life, this video is for you. Let's start with laying the foundation. Framework 1. The map is not the territory. One of the most important mental models to learn is that the map is not the territory. This model teaches that the representation of reality is not the reality. It's filtered through our experiences, our beliefs, and our biases. Think of it this way. You are using an offline Google map for your road trip. You might think you're headed in the right direction, but what if that map is outdated? What if it didn't account for the road closures and the detours? You will end up going the wrong path and miles off course. Would you blindly rely on that map the next time? Our mind works the same way. It runs on outdated assumptions and biases. It's like that outdated map that clings to the ingrained way of seeing things. So just like the offline map, should you be blindly trusting it? That's why this first mental model is so crucial. Strategic geniuses understand this to consistently question their assumptions and actively seek out different perspectives to update their mental maps. Some of their favorite questions are, what am I missing? What are the potential blind spots? How can I get a more complete and accurate picture? Use this mental model to cultivate self-awareness by challenging your own beliefs and being receptive to new information. It will help you recognize that your perspective is just one piece of the 1,000-piece elaborate puzzle. So how do you actually apply it in your daily life? Let's say you are in disagreement with your friend or a colleague. Instead of blindly assuming that you are right and they are wrong, take a step back and ask, what's their motivation? Is there something I am not seeing? By asking these questions, you will understand their map better. You can then open up a better dialogue, find common ground, and productively resolve the conflict. That's what some of the best negotiators also do. I personally have used this during career transitions to get a better sense of a role and culture fit. I go beyond the usual JD and formal HR discussions to seek existing employees and clients who can give me a better picture of the role and the overall culture. Remember, the map is not the territory is a powerful mental model. It will make you aware of your limitations, your biases, your outdated perspectives, and your flawed decision-making style. It will guide you to navigate complexities, gain clarity, and level up confidence in your judgments. Now that you know how to see the world with fresh perspective, let's dive into the next mental model, which will help you identify your strengths and leverage them to navigate that territory effectively. Framework 2, Circle of Competence. Every one of us has gone through life accumulating deeper knowledge in some areas more than others. Maybe it's because we have spent more time learning about it, or were part of an environment that gave you a distinct understanding. The Circle of Competence mental model is about understanding your strengths and focusing your energy there. It's about recognizing your limitations. Strategic geniuses don't waste time being good at everything. They know their core strengths and double down on that. This mental model is best summarized by this Warren Buffett quote, "Know your limits. When you are wandering outside of your circle of competence, you are going to get creamed." Think about it. Maybe you are a natural leader, but struggle with analytical work. Or maybe you are a creative genius, but numbers are not your strength. Instead of dwelling on your weaknesses, double down on your strengths. The key is to recognize both and craft a winning strategy around them. Now you might be thinking, shouldn't I focus on my weak areas and develop those skills? Short answer, you should. That's where the concept of expanding your circle of competence comes in. It is about knowing your strengths, doubling down on it, but at the same time, strategically growing your knowledge and skills over time. Like a strategic genius, you should identify the specific skills that will have the biggest impact on your goals and prioritize those. Over the past decade and a half, I have worked closely with successful entrepreneurs. A common trait in all of them was their acute self-awareness. They knew what they were good at and doubled down on it. But almost as importantly, they were aware of their weaknesses and hired experts in those areas. They were quick to delegate tasks that lied outside their circle of competence instead of spending inordinate time on them. Remember, a circle of competence is a mental model that focuses your energy and maximizes your impact to achieve your goals more effectively. It's about playing to your strengths and acknowledging your limitations. It is also about strategically building your knowledge and skills over time so as to have a larger circle of competence. Now that we've laid the foundation, let's dive into mental toolkits that separates the strategic geniuses from the rest. Framework 3. First principles thinking. This mental model involves breaking down complex issues into their most basic fundamental components and building solutions from the ground up. Think of it like building with Legos. You start with a jumbled pile of bricks, but by understanding the basic principles of connection and structure, you can create anything you can imagine. First principles thinking encourages critical thinking and innovation by focusing on the underlying principles rather than relying on assumptions or traditional methods. Elon Musk is one of the most successful practitioners of first principles thinking. When he was building SpaceX, he didn't accept the high cost of rockets as a given. Instead, he broke down the cost centers and analyzed the cost of each raw material while finding ways to make rockets more affordable. Strategic geniuses like Musk don't just accept things as they are. They question assumptions and challenge the status quo. They dig deeper to understand the underlying principles that govern a situation. Let's say you want to lose 20 pounds. Here is how you would go about doing that using first principles thinking. Step 1. Identify the problem. In this case, you want to lose weight and improve your overall health. Step 2. Deconstruct the problem into its most basic elements. Weight loss ultimately comes down to calories in versus calories out. Also, healthy weight loss involves sustainable lifestyle changes, not just quick fixes. So, the 4 basic elements would be diet, exercise, lifestyle, and any medical condition that's impacting your weight. Step 3. Examining the 4 fundamental elements. Let's take the example of understanding the basics of diet and nutrition. It's about understanding calories in versus calories out, micronutrients like proteins, and macronutrients like vitamins. Similarly, exercises that can help here could be cardiovascular, strength training, and flexibility exercises. Understand their impact on metabolism and muscle mass. Finally, step 4. Building a new solution from the ground up. At this stage, you know enough about weight loss to blindly accept generic advice like working out 1 hour per day will reduce your weight. You know it's much more than that. You would now design a balanced, nutritious meal plan based on your caloric needs and preferences. In parallel, you would also create a well-rounded workout routine that includes cardiovascular, strength training, and flexibility exercises, while also establishing healthy sleep patterns and incorporating stress management techniques. As you can see, by applying first principles thinking, you strip away the assumptions and focus on the fundamental elements of weight loss. This method helps you create a personalized, science-based approach that aligns with your unique needs and goals. Remember, first principles thinking is a mental model that can be applied to any area of life, from personal productivity to business strategy to scientific discovery. It's about questioning assumptions, seeking deeper understanding, and building solutions from the ground up. Now that you have master first principles thinking, let's expand your strategic vision to anticipate the ripple effects of your decisions. Framework 4. Second order thinking. This framework involves considering the long-term and indirect consequences of actions, not just the immediate outcomes, but about their ripple effects. Let's say you are playing a game of pool with a beginner. Chances are, your beginner friend would focus solely on hitting the cue ball into the target ball without giving 2 hoots about where the cue ball lands up. On the other hand, as a skilled player, you know better. You will anticipate the chain reaction and hit the cue ball such that it opens up opportunities to pot more balls. That's second-order thinking in action. It's about asking yourself, and then what? There are 4 key principles of second-order thinking. First, think beyond immediate outcomes and explore the subsequent consequences. Second, anticipate unintended consequences by thinking multiple steps ahead. Third, consider the larger picture and understand how your decision affects other people, processes, and future scenarios. Finally, evaluate a decision's long-term impact. Let's say you're thinking of taking out a loan to buy a new car. As a first-order thinker, you would focus solely on the immediate excitement of having a new vehicle and the convenience it provides. However, as a second-order thinker, you would also consider the long-term financial implications, such as what will the monthly payments be and how will they impact my budget. In my experience, second-order thinking is a crucial tool in every strategic genius's mental toolkit. By leveraging this mental model, they avoid unintended consequences by anticipating potential pitfalls, make more informed decisions by considering the long-term implications of their actions, and develop a proactive mindset by anticipating challenges and opportunities while adapting to a constantly changing environment. So, how do you build second-order thinking? Simple answer: by asking some pointed questions. A few questions that you can ask yourself every time are, what are the potential positive and negative consequences of this decision? How does this impact other areas of my life? What's the long-term impact? What are the potential unintended consequences? And finally, how can I mitigate risks while maximizing benefits? Framework 5, Thought Experiments. Do you know how Einstein developed his theory of relativity? Since he couldn't conduct practical experiments, he resorted to thought experiments where he imagined himself chasing a beam of light. This helped him understand the relationship between space and time. Thought experiments are mental simulations where you imagine a hypothetical scenario and explore its implications while challenging assumptions. It stimulates innovative thinking and is often used to gain insights without actually taking the action first. Let's say you want to analyze your decision to quit your job and start a new business. One way is that you quit the job and then see how it goes from there. However, if you think like a strategic genius, you would resort to running this problem through a thought experiment. You would consider it as a hypothetical scenario where you think over every aspect of the decision. This includes going over the business plan and running best, worst, and neutral case scenarios. You would also reflect on your thoughts and feelings and dig deeper to better understand your own motivations, expectations, and preparedness for entrepreneurship. Remember, thought experiments are powerful tools for idea exploration, fostering creativity, and understanding complex issues. Think of it like a hammer in your mental toolkit that looks small but can break a diamond. Now that you have mastered this framework, it's time to further sharpen your critical thinking skills by flipping the script on the problems. Framework 6, Inversion. F. Scott Fitzgerald once said, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function." Inversion is just that. It's a powerful mental model where you look at a problem from the opposite direction. So, instead of thinking, how do I achieve a desired output, you should consider, how do I avoid an undesirable? This inverted thinking will allow you to unearth potential pitfalls, unknown assumptions, and fresh perspectives that may otherwise not be possible. In 2009, Airbnb was struggling. Its revenue had flatlined at $200 per week, and it was running at a loss. The founders had spent countless days focusing on how to attract more customers, and none of the ideas really worked. So one day, they inverted the problem on its head. So instead of asking how to get new customers, they asked, why are people not booking rooms on our platform? This simple shift led them to identify a core problem. The hosts were using poorly clicked, amateurish photos in their listings. Armed with this finding, the founders packed their own cameras and flew to New York to upgrade all amateurish photos to beautiful, inviting images. A week later, the results started showing, and the rest is history. So, how do you use inversion in game of life? Let's say you want to get fitter. Instead of asking, how do I do that, you flip the problem and instead ask, what is contributing to my poor health? This simple switch would lead you the path of identifying and focusing on unhealthy habits, such as sedentary lifestyle, poor diet, and lack of sleep. Just by addressing these negative factors, you may end up improving your health and well-being without necessarily taking up any drastic fitness regime. Remember, inversion is a powerful mental model to identify and challenge your assumptions at any point. It is also a powerful tool to unlock your creativity and problem-solving ability. Now that you have mastered inversion, you're well on your way to becoming a strategic genius. Now, it's time to further refine your strategic edge with this next model. Framework 7, Occam's Razor. This framework is all about keeping things simple. It suggests that the simplest explanation is usually the best. As William of Occam, who once said, "Entities should not be multiplied without necessity." There is a saying, if you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. In other words, don't overcomplicate things. Start with the most straightforward explanation and go from there. The surprising thing is that most of us use Occam's razor without even realizing it. Answer this. When your home internet stops working abruptly, what is it that you do first? Do you think that there is a nationwide cyber attack, or do you first go and check your router? Chances are you do the latter. Strategic geniuses train themselves to focus on simplest solutions first, as it's usually the right one. They use this framework to avoid overthinking by cutting through complexity and focusing on the most efficient solutions. They don't get bogged down in unnecessary details as they prioritize clarity and simplicity. Now that you have mastered how to focus on simplicity and clarity, it's time to identify the vital few actions that generate disproportionate results. Framework 8, Pareto Principle. Most of us know it as the 80-20 rule. This mental model is about identifying the few actions that generate the majority of the results. It is named after the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who said that roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. It is a powerful mental model that highlights the unequal relationship between inputs and outputs. Strategic geniuses understand this principle and use it to their advantage. They start with identifying the 20% of the actions that generate the most significant results and prioritize them. This is how they move fast, as they focus their energy on the actions that truly move the needle. This is one of the most versatile frameworks that can be applied to a vast range of scenarios. If you are running a business, identify 20% of the customers that generate 80% of the revenue and start focusing on retaining them. Similarly, if you want to improve your productivity, identify the 20% of the main tasks that contribute to 80% of the results and focus on them first. If you want to declutter your wardrobe, focus on 20% of the clothes that you wear, 80% of the time, and get rid of the rest. Remember, the 80-20 rule can be applied to any area of life where you want to maximize your impact and achieve greater efficiency. It's a reminder that not all actions have equal impact. Just by focusing on the vital few, you can achieve extraordinary results. Now, strategic geniuses are more than just calculated decisions and analyzing data. They also have strong emotional intelligence. Framework 9, Hanlon's Razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. Hanlon's Razor is a philosophical principle that suggests you should not attribute malicious intent to others' actions that can otherwise be explained by ignorance, incompetence, or misunderstanding. Think about it. How often do we jump to conclusions about someone's motives, only to find out later that there was a perfectly innocent explanation? Strategic geniuses know the importance of giving people the benefit of the doubt. They use Hanlon's razor to avoid unnecessary arguments and misunderstandings, create space to foster improved relations, and increase empathy. They leverage it to create an open and receptive environment for communication and conflict management while avoiding anxiety and reducing stress. Remember, Hanlon's razor isn't about naivete, it's about choosing empathy over suspicion. It is about controlling the knee-jerk reaction of assuming malice in others' motives and giving them the benefit of the doubt. By now, we have looked at 9 powerful mental models, which will equip you to tackle any challenge with strategic brilliance. But life throws curveballs, and true genius lies in adapting and thriving amidst uncertainty. Framework 10, Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's a bit pessimistic, but it's a valuable tool for strategic thinking. Strategic geniuses don't just hope for the best, they anticipate the worst and prepare accordingly. They embrace Murphy's Law and recognize that things will inevitably go wrong. Let's say you are planning your investment. Would you invest all your money into that one trending cryptocurrency, or would you diversify your investment and mitigate risk? Murphy's Law is the cornerstone of effective risk planning. It encourages a proactive approach to identifying potential problems and developing strategies to mitigate their impact. There is a school of thought that says, if things are meant to go wrong, they will go wrong, and you can't do anything about them. Fair point. But think of it like this. You probably can't prevent a raging wildfire from taking your house, but wouldn't it be more prudent to take out fire insurance to mitigate your losses? Remember, Murphy's Law is about being proactive, not reactive. It's about anticipating potential challenges and having contingency plans in place. It's about being adaptable and resilient in the face of adversity. Which of these mental models resonated with you the most? Have you used any of them in your own life? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Watch this video to know about the 4 powerful mind hacks to achieve your goals.